my brother Bobby, he used to come home with a karate suit over his shoulder, and I used to say to him, "Take me with you, Bob." And he used to say, "No, no, no." And then a judo club started just across the road, which me and my twin brother Andy, we tried. He loved it, I hated it. I stayed for one day, and about 3 or 4 years later, karate started there. And I tried. You had to pay £5, I think it was, to join at the time, which was a lot of money. I was 15, and so I joined, and I just loved it. I think it was the fact that you had to be correct and perfect. It just triggered something in me that I loved.
Left, right, right, left. Edge. Where are you going? Knee. Back stance, spin up. Sun. She. Go.
So you start as a white belt, and you're supposed to train regularly, at least minimum twice a week, and then you're looking to reach a certain standard after a minimum of 3 months training. So it's called a Q grade. So each Q grade is a progress to the belts. If you're not ready at that standard, then you continue grading. So there'll be 4 gradings throughout the year at a club. Then when you get to first Q, which is a 3rd brown belt, then and during that time you have to go on special courses where top Japanese instructors will come over and teach you extra different katas. But once you get to first Q, that's the top brown belt, you then have got a minimum of 6 months intense training. So you're looking, karate, to become black belt is more like learning how to walk. So people always think, oh, once you're a black belt, you're fantastic, you've done everything. It's actually like a diploma. It just getting to a certain level where really you've just learned the basics and you can now start to walk. So then the Dan grade between first and second Dan is a minimum of 2 years training. But when I say training, then the intensity would be, I was training maybe 5-6 days a week to get to that level within 2 years, because that's the amount of time and training and effort they're putting in Japan. So that way you know that the standard is kept. And then again, between second and third Dan is a minimum of 3 years. You might not be ready in those 3 years. Could be 5, could be 10 years. But there's a certain standard that you must attain.
Don't move your upper body. Touch, pull, and twist. Go. Kick and punch. Lock that leg. Morotiyuki, body square and twist.
Because I love karate so much, I was fortunate that my chief instructor was the chief instructor of Europe and one of the most famous Japanese instructors in the world, Sensei Noida, who sadly died. But because of him, that enabled me to join Takashoku University, which is the most famous karate university in Japan, and at the highest level of instructors going on to the Japan Karate Association. So that connection, because my instructor went there as a student, because of the hierarchy system in karate and in Japan, that enabled me to write to the instructor in Japan, Sensei Tsuchiyama, and ask could I possibly train, and they allowed me. 3 times I went. Every time I went, I saved up money for 2 years, every penny I had, because I knew it was the best training in the world. So, and I wanted to be the best, and the training was incredible. We've tried, because my instructor's always been Japanese, we've tried to maintain the etiquette side of karate, because we've seen with judo and the Olympics that becomes more of a sport, whereas we try to keep the proper Budo karate. So one punch is supposed to be a killing blow. That way we teach solid basics, kata and kumite. That way it becomes character building. So for us, not necessarily, but I think people themselves become weaker. So there's not that many people that want to train hard anymore and really, really train hard. You get a few, obviously, and there's the people that will excel. But you might get, a few people come along and they surprise you and you think, oh, that's great. It's like old school. But I don't like to say it was always great in the old days. I like to think we keep our standards the same, so that when people do really want to train, the structure is still there. That if they want to become world class, they can.
Go! And again. Heels coming off the floor, mister. Cannot happen. Go!
In Europe, people seem to want, because it's much more popular in Europe than it is in Japan. In Japan, their biggest, even though it's a martial art, their biggest sport is baseball. So karate at university level is where you get the main students that go on to become top instructors. But out of a class of 40 in a university, only 4 or 5 will come out of that 4-year period to go on to become instructors. So in Europe itself, places like Russia and the Eastern Bloc, where they train so hard because maybe life has been tougher from wars and different things, their standard is very, very high. South Africa, same. But in England, we beat Japan in the 70s because my instructor, the training format was the same as in Japan, and he pushed us and pushed us. So really, I would say it's only because in Japan they've got the instructor system where they become professional instructors, and they obviously pay, but again, it's a really hard training, and that's why they have such a high level of instructors that come across to teach us. We haven't got that in Europe. Normally if you get to a certain standard, you might open a club, and then you try and progress as much as you can when the senior instructors come over.